welcome if you're new. And if you're new to my channel, hi, welcome to the fam, where we kind of just have vibes over here. Sometimes we read, sometimes we vlog, sometimes we write. It's a mix of a lot of different things. But today, as you can see by the title, we're essentially gonna be going through my physical TBR. I wanted to do this to hold me accountable so that you guys know what I'm doing. Until I finish like at least more than 50% of my physical TBR, I cannot go out and purchase a new book. And that also includes Kindle, because sometimes I like to cheat with Kindle and I'll be like, oh, it's only $5.99, like I could just pay for it and then I buy a book on my Kindle. No, like we're not buying a book period until I get through at least 50% of my physical TBR. I haven't even counted how many books. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. It's 29 books, which isn't as big as some TBRs that I've seen that people have, which kind of makes sense because I also just don't have that much space in my room, okay? Like when I was back living at my mom's house, I had a lot more space to store a lot more books. But here, this is the only bookshelf that I have. I need to get a new real bookshelf, and then I just start storing books on my dresser. So it's like, I don't have that much space. Essentially, I'm gonna be tackling this differently because I've kind of separated my TBR based on genre. It's just separated by romance or like fantasy sci-fi. Like those are the two. I'm a very big mood reader, and I have not been in the mood for the past like 6 months to pick up a fantasy book. Like it just has not been, I haven't had no desire. I've been in my romance era, and I'm not too sure when my like fantasy kick will come back. Like I feel like it'll take like a book that I'm really interested in reading, and then that like kickstarts it, you know? So I've separated my TBR because I'm not gonna force myself to sit down and get through like my fantasy and sci-fi TBR, because that's probably gonna put me in a reading slump because I'm not in the mood to read fantasy. Right now, our goal will be getting through my romance section of my TBR, and then once I get through that, then I give myself the go-ahead to buy more romance books. I'm not allowed to buy more fantasy books until I get through my fantasy TBR. Really don't know when I'm getting to that fantasy TBR because the concept of reading a map is just, it's not there in my brain right now. I wanted to go through them real quick. It's not gonna take long because like I said, it's really not that many, but we'll start with like the fantasy sci-fi stuff. I have the entire Hunger Games series because for a while in the winter, after I watched Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes in the movie theater, I was like, oh my god, I need to read the Hunger Games books because I went my entire childhood not reading the Hunger Games books. I was a Divergent girly. I read Divergent, and that was my only like that era dystopian-esque book that I read. Never read the Hunger Games, and I'm very like, I do want to read it. I'm very inclined to read it. Again, just not in the mood. Not in the mood right now. I guess this like I counted each of these books individually because I have to get through them individually, but it's a series. So it's like kind of like one massive thing. Like I'll probably, when I start reading this, at least bang out the first 3 like back to back. Okay, the rest of my fantasy stack. Then I have The Blood Gift by N.E. Davenport. This is the second book of a duology. I read the first book, which was The Blood Trials, and the reason I'm like, ugh, like dragging my feet on this one was because The Blood Trials I gave like a 3-star. It wasn't something that I was obsessed with. I wasn't utterly like intrigued, but it had a good like romance brewing that I want to see like how that like plays out. And it's also because like I read The Blood Trials like over a year ago, so I don't remember every single thing that happened, and I don't want to reread it in order to have to understand what happens in this. So that is also a little bit tough. This is another one I've been dragging my feet on, Light Lark by Alex Astor. I bought this a while ago because of the TikTok hype, but then the TikTok hype quickly turned really negative and people were just like trashing this book. And I don't like to base my opinions on like the internet and Goodreads perspectives, but I'm human and it does sway me. So I'm not like utterly itching to start this book, but it's on the TBR, so I'm gonna have to go into it eventually. Blood Like Magic by Lizelle Sambury. This one is like a little bit different. It's like magic. There's like magic, it's like magic. These are like more recent fantasy books that I picked up. I got Dark Rise by C.S. Paget, which I am really like, when I'm in the mood, I feel like this will be the start because like this is just crazy good vibes. Like it's like demons, it's like dark angel, like it's dark magic, great vibes. It's also, I believe, a queer romance We love those. I have Aurora Rising by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This is like space, so I really like the cover. We Hunt the Flame by Hafsa Faisal. I think I've seen other people read this and they really vibed with it, but when I read the blurb in Barnes, I really enjoyed it. This one, I feel, this one just looking at it, I know it's gonna take a lot of brain power, and that's the whole thing of the reason why I think I just haven't been in the fantasy mood, because at the end of the day, fantasy does take a lot more brain power. Like, I have to read the map, I have to flip back and forth from the map to make sure I know where we are in the world. I have to memorize like magic systems and like all of these fancy names. And, you know, sometimes if it's like a completely different world, I have to memorize different animals. Just a lot of lore. A lot of lore. And it's a lot on the brain. And I really enjoy it and I love that aspect of fantasy, but you just gotta be in the mood for it. The last one is Furyborn by Claire Legrand, and I picked this one up because I believe it's like a villain origin story and I love those. So those are like my newer fantasy books, and then I have this stack of fantasy, which like I don't even know if I count this as my TBR because these have been all of my DNFs, but I don't know if they're hard, like I don't know. My relationship with DNFs are scary because it's like I started it, like I want to finish it, and I'm like, maybe I just wasn't in the mood for this type of experience, but like maybe I will be at a later point. I still count them as my TBR because at the end of the day, my thing with DNFs is like, maybe if I'm gonna DNF it, I'll just listen to the audiobook because like I just want to be able to like say I completed it. So we have Lore by Alexander Bracken. This is kind of like a Greek mythology, modern fantasy, urban fantasy vibe. Takes place in New York. But I only got like 50 pages in. So it's like, you know, Incendiary. This wasn't even a DNF. I just lost my brain power and I stopped reading it. But like literally only got to page 32. So this, honestly, let me take this out of the DNF category. Okay, let me take it out. We're putting this back in the regular pile, okay? Because that wasn't a DNF. That wasn't a DNF because the concept seems really cool. Next we have Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. This was a DNF. I don't even know what page I got to. It was just a little bit slow. I feel like everybody's gonna be upset at me because I know Brandon Sanderson is like, he's that fantasy guy. Like he is that fantasy guy. And I never hear anybody starting off Brandon Sanderson with this book and this series. So maybe I just got off to the wrong start, but this just felt very slow. And, you know, there wasn't a romance. And I'm sorry, like I'm just a girl. I need a romance. But who knows? Who knows? Maybe one day I'll be not in the mood for a romance. Scythe, this, it wasn't a DNF because I wasn't not enjoying it. It just, Scythe is a like dystopian sci-fi book by Neil Shusterman. And the concepts of it are just very, not heavy, but this is a book that makes you think. It makes you think about like the human anatomy. It makes you think about morality and all of these things. You're just constantly contemplating. Didn't have the brain power while I was reading this, but I got literally halfway through. And I think I was enjoying it. I don't know. So that's that. So that's kind of like the separation pile. These are the books that I kind of have already read. We just got those out of the way because those will not be touched for like a little while. Let's do the romance really quick, which actually there isn't that many. So this feels like a very accomplishable task and feat. Like I feel like I can maybe complete my entire physical TBR within the month of June. Then I could go book shopping. Speed round. We got 7 Days of June by Tia Williams. You know the vibes. You know the vibes. The 7-Year Slip. I got 15 pages into this book and then I stopped because I had school and I was stressed. Definitely want to get back into this though because I've heard amazing things about this. Then we have The Mixtape by Brittany Cherry, and this book is actually my book club's June book. So this will be completed. This will be completed for sure. And I am excited about this one. It's about it's like a musician romance with like single mother, that type vibe. Fair Catch by Candy Steiner. For sure gonna get finished because I've been really excited to start this book. It's like a football sports romance and I eat up a sports romance. I thoroughly enjoy a sports romance. We have The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. I picked this up and for some reason this is so daunting because I know that the Dreamland Billionaire series is just oh my god guys, like there's obviously like multiple series that are just known as the TikTok, BookTube series, like Chestnut Springs, Dreamland Billionaires, Knock 'Em Out, Addicted series, Twisted series, Magnolia Park series, forgetting some, I don't even know, Off-Campus series. Yeah, like they're like just like the iconic series that I feel like if you've been on book media for a good month, you've seen the covers, you've seen them, you've heard people talk about them. So it's just like daunting because I'm like, I'm finally getting into like the club, like, you know, the club of like the famous books. So I'm scared that I'm like not gonna vibe, but I feel like I'm gonna vibe with this one. So yeah, The Fine Print. First book in the Dreamland Billionaire series. And then I have Dukes and Deeks by Tori Jean. It's like a sports romance, but it's like also kind of like small town, I believe. What else do we have? Oh, this one is a hardcover, so it's a little bit different. I have The True Love Experiment by Christina Lauren. And then, okay, so these I'm really, I don't know if I should count. These I'm scared about because it's like in the time frame that I've started reading, like I've seen my tastes and my interests change thoroughly. And these are all YA romances. So I have Charming as a Verb by Ben Philippe. I have More Happy Than Not by Adam Silvera. And I have Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute by Talia Hibbert. And learn very quickly, not that I'm like completely written off by YA romances, it's just it's not where I gravitate to at this point, like now, because I prefer the like more like adult mature-esque themes and just like those vibes and like kind of like the sexual tension, not necessarily spice, but just like the tension that comes. And also sometimes I feel like with YA writing, it just really feels like fiction for me because some of the things that characters say, I'm just like, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? I was not saying this at 17. Like I was cursing out the wazoo at 17. I was definitely a lot crazier than this at 17. These I'm a little bit worried about because they're both YA, but I'll give it a chance. And I feel like if these have the inclination that they're gonna be a DNF, I gotta go with my gut on this one, and then I'm probably just gonna like donate them because I could see these probably putting me in a book slump just because of the YA aspect. More Happy Than Not, I feel like this one might be good because Adam Silvera is known for making really sad books, and I feel like YA is good to me when it's just really sad because at least I'm like, oh, okay, I can relate on that aspect. I love the sad, I love that you made me cry. Okay, we have those. And then last, but certainly not least, oh God, this is just so, I'm just so grateful that I have this on my shelf. We have the Magnolia Park series. Obviously the first one isn't here because I read the first one, so it's not on my TBR, but we have the next 4 books in the series in the OG covers. This is my biggest flex that I have, like biggest flex is that I have the OG covers because I literally ordered them all the way from London on Blackwell's just to get these stunning covers. I waited 2 months to get these because I really don't like the new American covers. Anyways, I have to read this series, finish this series obviously, but I'm also not gonna force myself to rush through this series. Like I definitely want to start My Daisy Hates, but you know, Magnolia Parks is a series that I want to cherish and I want to care for because that first book ate it up. So like I want to cherish this experience. And that's it. That is it for my physical TBR. How many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I have 14 books on my romance TBR. By June, hopefully I could read 7 books from this TBR. So we already know we got this, so that's 1. I think for sure I'm gonna read Fair Catch, that's 2. We could do 7 Year Slip for sure, that's 3. Dukes and Deeks, I feel like I'll be in the mood for, so that's 4. The Fine Print, yes, 5. 7 Days in June, I don't know. I'm scared to get into Tia Williams because I know she's so iconic. Let me see. Daisy Hates. What's the first Daisy Hates book? Daisy Hates. What's the first Daisy Hates book? Ah, this one. This is the first one. What a look at that cover, my people. Look at it. Okay, we'll do Daisy Hates. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One more. Is it gonna be 7 Days in June? What is it gonna be? Or will it be another Magnolia Parks book? 7 Days in June or Magnolia Parks. 7 Days in June or Magnolia Parks. I'll see. I'll leave that one to see what mood I'm in, but I'm pretty sure these will be the, for sure, 6 books that I get through in June. I don't know if I'm setting myself up, but like, no. I feel like because I'm on summer, I could really tackle this and I could really get this done. And then we could go shopping for more books, and the way that I am amped, I want to get Emily Henry, I want to get Elsie Silver, I want to get Abby Jimenez. I'm here. There's been so many new releases, and I just need to get on it. I want to read the Off-Campus series, Binding 13. I am ready. So before we do that, we need to get through these. Oh no, I lied. I know what the 7th is. I'm so dumb. I'm so dumb. I'm currently reading the 7th. Or will that count? Oh no, that doesn't count because that would be, okay, never mind. But I'm currently reading To Love and to Loathe, which was on my physical TBR. If you guys watched my last like sleepover bookish video, I started this in that. Realistically, I only filmed that a few days ago, so I'm not finished with it yet. But we will be finishing it. That will be knocking off one thing off my physical TBR. I did a little bit of reorganization, or at least the best that I can do with this type of bookshelf. I really want to get like a real bookshelf, but I would have to maneuver my entire room around and like switch everything in order to like fit. Like I could fit like a small tall bookshelf, like maybe something like this, but like I would have to switch, I don't know. Anyways, so for now, this is my reorganization. This might annoy a lot of you, but I flipped all of the books that I have read so that it's like the paper showing instead of the cover. That way I could just like, you know, mentally kind of like check off and keep track. So like every time I finish a book, I like flip it over because I feel like that would be cool. This is this side, and then I decided on this side will be all of my series, which it already kind of was. It's just the Hunger Games wasn't here before. So I moved the Hunger Games to here, and now this is like all of my full series that I have. Okay guys, so I actually finished To Love and to Loathe this weekend. So comment down below what book you think I should read next for my physical TBR. That way I could just jump right into something new, keep the momentum going, bang out this June TBR. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.